Hello everyone, Parallel here, and welcome to Star Trek Online. In this video, I will be taking a look at the new ground abilities that were released as part of the winter event. These are actually kit modules that you can get. There's one for each class. They're for tactical, engineering, and science, and you can get them through the winter event vendor. Now, I figured this is probably a good time to do this, as the winter event itself is kind of winding down at this point, and everyone should have plenty of winter materials farmed up. If you've been participating in the winter events, you should have plenty of these vendor currencies here farmed up from the just from completing the various mini games in the Q Winter Wonderland zone. We're also just doing the duty officer missions. That's why I've farmed up most of mine. And so once you have these, once you have the currencies, all you have to do is pull up your reputation tab, go down to your events, and pull up the store, and take a look at the winter event store. And here it is. And you can actually go all the way down here, and let's take a look at these three abilities. And see what they are. So each one here, you see there's one for each captain. So down here is the tactical one, and that's the character I'm on right now, so I'll be showing this one first. And this ability is the Cryotronic Modulation. It's kind of an interesting ability. So it is basically a self-buff for 15 seconds, and it says your attacks deal an additional 15% damage as cold for 15 seconds and apply a 33% run speed buff or debuff to the target for 3 seconds. Kind of an interesting little ability, and I'm not quite sure how the damage buff there works. I'm not sure if it's like a category 1 or what it is. We'll take a look at that. I'll try it out on a few targets just to see how much damage it actually adds. So that's the tactical one. The engineering one here is the Cryo Mine Barrier. This one is probably pretty much what you would expect. This is basically your chronoton mines, except with cold damage and a minus run speed buff. And let's see, increases damage to shields by 30% for 12 seconds. I wonder if that... I don't remember that being on the standard chronoton mines, so that might also be an additional effect. That's pretty cool. But I'll take a look at that more closely when I switch over to my engineering character. And here is the science version, science ability. This is the Cryogenic Stasis Field. And it's pretty much looks like a single target hold and cold damage over time. And it looks like it's a fragile hold, so... This one, I'm kind of curious to see how it actually works. This is an exposed attack, which is kind of cool. But as a single target fragile hold, I'm not sure how useful that'll be, but we'll give it a try. It does have a damage over time, so we'll see how that does. So you can see that they're actually pretty cheap. It only takes basically 15 of each of the common materials. So basically 15 of each of these. You should have really no problem farming that up through just completing the mini games. Like I said, by now the Q event is pretty much winding down at this point, so you should have plenty of materials to spend. So yeah, hopefully we'll take a look at all three of these, and you will be able to decide and understand if you want to spend your currency on any of these abilities if they seem useful to you. Honestly, they're so cheap you probably could just spend it anyway, but for you at least want to take a look and see what you're getting into before you buy. And hopefully this will be helpful. So like I said, I'm starting out on my tactical character here, and I have the kit module already equipped here. So you can see there, Cryotronic Modulation. It is a strategic kit module, and there's the ability right there. This one actually does have a cool graphical effect, so I will show that. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over, I'm on Kobali Prime, so I'm going to head up to the upper mountains area here and look for some enemies, and I will go ahead and skip ahead to there, and I will see you shortly. Alright, I'm back, and let's give this ability a test. So I'm here on my tactical character, and I'm going to be testing out the Cryotronic Modulation ability. And I have a few targets up here, and what I think I'll do is just shoot a few of these targets normally with my normal shot with no buffs, and see how much damage my base damage is with my weapon on these targets, and then I'll activate the Cryotronic Modulation and see how much bonus damage it provides. One thing to note is it does have a cool little particle effect, so once I activate it, you'll see kind of a cold mist, or cold particle effect coming off your character, which is pretty cool. So we'll take a look at that. But so let's go ahead and give this a try. I'm going to send my companions down here because I don't want them to kill the enemies too quickly. I want to be able to get some shots off to actually see the difference here. So let's start off. I'm going to start off and hitting the tech soldier and just see how much my base damage is hitting for. So let's see, 70, 70, 80. Okay, so let's activate the ability. There we go. There's the particle effect. So it looks like 79, 79. So it looks like those little extra numbers there. Well, he got destroyed. It looks like little extra numbers there. Those must be the extra cold damage is providing. So it's doing about 9 or 10 extra damage on a shot that hits for, high 70s. So that seems about right. It says it provides an additional 15% damage. That's about right. Okay, you guys follow me. Let's head in a little bit further and just do a few more tests here. Maybe with some other buffs here running. Yeah, let's do like Radiant Subatomic Field. Let's do that. Let's put this on here. And let's activate the Cryotronic Modulation. Did about an extra 46. It seems to do pretty good, actually. It seems to be scaling not too bad at all. And see, here's the cool thing. So you can kind of see the particle effect there. I'll do it one more time here. But the nice thing about this is it's a very, very short cooldown. Yeah, very, very short cooldown. Only a 30-second cooldown, and it lasts for 15 seconds. I mean, that's not bad at all. Let's go ahead and scan this guy. Let's do this. Cryotronic Modulation. That's actually quite good. And there you can see the particle effect again. Pretty nifty particle effect, too. So there you go, that is a look at Cryotronic Modulation. I'd give it a pretty high grade. It's actually not bad at all. The bonus damage is pretty significant. I mean, we're only talking about ground here, but it does seem to be quite a bit of extra damage. And that's actually not bad at all. Very short cooldown time and a decent duration. I'd say make it quite good. I would compare it to something like, maybe something like, it's kind of like Suppressing Fire, where it gives that run speed debuff. But in the case of Suppressing Fire, it's a debuff on the enemy's damage, where this is a buff on your damage, which I actually like a lot better. So I would say probably if you are going to run it, I would say I'd probably recommend it over something like Suppressing Fire, because it for the damage buff. So yeah, not bad at all, actually. Alright, so that is the Cryotronic Modulation. Let me switch over to my engineer, and we will be testing out the Chronoton, or the Cryo mines, and I will go ahead and cut forward to that point on my engineering character. See you soon. Alright, I'm here on my engineering character now, and we will be testing out the Cryo mine barrier. Now this deploys very similarly to the current Chronoton mines engineer ability. The only difference here is that it does slightly less damage, but it also gives a run speed debuff and increases damage to shields, which is pretty nice. So you can see here compared to the normal Chronoton mine barrier, Oh, regular Chronoton mine barrier gives a run speed debuff as well. I didn't realize that. So I guess the main difference is the additional shield penetration. Or not penetration, but damage to shields. So, interesting. So yeah, you can see slightly less damage than the normal. This is actually the Chronoton Mine Barrier I use is actually the one you get from the Fleet Research Station. And so that does 326 kinetic base, and this one is 285 base. So it is a pretty significant amount of base damage loss, so it's a little bit of a trade-off there. So for this test, let's give this a try. I'm going to send my companions down there again. And this time I'm going to lay down a little mine barrier here, and let's get their attention. And let's let them run into the mines. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Okay, 484 crit. How about you? 491. Oh, this guy didn't get hit by any. So as you can see, the mines still do their job. They still hit really, really hard. That said, I don't know if the shield penetration would be worth it. You'd almost be better off with just the higher base damage, I almost think, from just using the regular Chronoton mines. I'll put them down again here so you can kind of see. They do actually have a different graphic, which is kind of cool. They do actually kind of have a cryo or a cold, you know, look to them, which is pretty cool. So they definitely look nice. But I think I would only recommend these over the normal Chronoton mines if you were trying to take down like a heavily shielded target. Otherwise, I mean, these mines just do so much damage. The whole reason to use this ability is just the insane amount of burst damage you can do. That being the case, I would just say stick with the regular version, just because it does have a higher base damage. If you go with the ultra ones you can get from the research station, or if you have a higher mark one as well. But yeah, since you can't upgrade these, the one from the winter event, you know, is stuck at very rare. Where are you? Yeah, it's stuck at very rare, so it's going to do slightly less than the ultra rare, the regular Chronoton mines. But still a pretty good ability. I mean, if you didn't want to spend, you know, fleet credits on the regular Chronoton mines, and they're also very expensive on the market, whereas these you could pick up very, very easily just from completing the winter event, I would say definitely go ahead and pick these up. I mean, they're so cheap, they're definitely worth the investment. So let's go ahead and just do one more fight here, just to get another look at them. Now we'll call my characters up here. And let's actually activate some of this. Activate here, have some mines. Hopefully you won't die before the mines go off. They do have, what was it, a 30-second-ish cooldown? Looks like they are refusing to kite into my mines. Okay, you two stay over here again. Here, let's see if we can do this guy. Oh, he ran back. Come on, you can do it. Come a little closer. There he goes. So yeah, hit it for the 400s. It did do good shield damage as well. But yeah, I mean, it certainly performs well. And even though I wouldn't quite recommend them over the normal Chronoton mines, they are still a very capable mine, still capable of very good burst damage. So I would say they're definitely worth it unless you have a higher rank Chronoton Mind Barrier. Alright, so that's enough with that ability. Let's go ahead and take a look at the last one, which is the Science ability. And I will be right back on my Science character. Alright, I'm back on my Science character, and now we're going to take a look at the Cryostasis Field ability. Now, I'm actually very curious about this one because I'm not a big fan of fragile holds, especially not if it's only... especially if it's only a single target. But that said, it is an expose ability, and it does have a damage over time effect to it. And I see here it also applies the negative 40% all damage. That is, so it does count as a science debuff. And I believe the reason I get that, let me double check here, but if I go to my duty officers, ground, I'm not sure which one it is that gives you that. Adds a damage resistance debuff to most science kit abilities. So if you have this duty officer, Kelsey and Natalia Hutzel, then this it does actually apply that ability to the Cryostasis Field, which is not bad. And I'm actually not quite sure what the cooldown is on this either. The cooldown on the other two, the engineering and tactical abilities, was quite short, which I actually like. So let's give this thing a try on a Vodwar here. Again, I'm going to send my team down there so they don't interrupt. So if we were going to actually do this, I would say put this on the tech soldier and then take out this other guy. So let's give that a try. And we'll kind of keep an eye on him while the ability is going. So let's open up with that. That is a cool ability. It puts like a crystal around him. See there, it does have a pretty long duration. And then he breaks out the crystal. That's a cool effect. I like it. So let's try this again here. And take a closer look at the damage. So it's doing 17, 17, 17. Not horrible damage. And we'll try it one more time as long as it doesn't kill me. Here, have some of that. That is a really cool effect. Puts them in a solid block of ice. And it looks like it is doing diminishing returns because it's not lasting quite as long. But the duration is also quite short. I'm very happy with that. I much prefer short cooldown abilities. Did I say duration? I meant cooldown. The cooldown is quite short, which I like. Let's test it one more time here on the big Vodwar over here, and I'm going to actually try shooting him while it's on and see, just to make sure it applies that debuff, which is actually not too bad. I'm also curious to see how fragile it is. Here, you guys go over there. Okay, so we'll take it out this tech officer here. I'm not gonna. I guess I won't do any other debuffs right now. Like I won't put a tricorder scan on him, which would really bottom out his. But I will use the radiant subatomic field. So let's do that. Okay, let's freeze him and start our regular shots here. Yeah, it's very fragile. Breaks right away. That said, I'm not sure if it. I think I have to double check. I'm not quite sure if the debuff lasts for the whole duration. Oh, that only lasts for 5 seconds anyway. Okay. Didn't realize that. So overall, I mean, it's not too bad. The fact that it's an exposed attack and the fact that it applies your, you know, the debuff you get from the duty officers, redeem it a little bit, in my opinion. The fragile hold, well, it's fragile hold. It's going to get broken. I mean, if you're going to be in a PvE queue or anything, you know it's going to be broken instantly. It just always happens that way. Then again, it does have some niche, you know, if I wanted to, I can freeze this guy over here. And then focus on this guy. You can see my companion already broke it. Now one thing I didn't check is I didn't check to see if the damage over time continues even if the hold is broken. So let's test that out. So you guys go over there for a second. So I'm going to freeze this guy and then no, I messed it up. Let's try that one more time here. So I'm going to try to... They're dying too quickly is the problem. I need to freeze this guy, then just shoot him once, and then see if the dot... Yeah, the dot is still going. That said, I mean, the damage over time component is not that fantastic, especially now when you compare it to like endothermic field or you know, your seismic agitation field. So, yeah, I'd have to say a little bit lackluster. The only nice thing is it does have a short cooldown and it does apply the 40% all damage resistance. But so does endothermic induction field. I don't know. I would say, you know, not exactly a stellar ability. Probably not worth, you know, not worth the kit slot, because there are other better abilities out there. Alright, so why don't I go ahead and I'm going to switch back to my tactical character and just give my final thoughts here. Alright, so my final thoughts on the 3 kit modules that you can get from the winter event. Let's just go through each of them real quick here. First, the tactical one, Cryotronic Modulation. This one is actually not bad. I actually like that it's a 15-second duration and a 30-second recharge, so you can actually have it up 50% of the time. I would actually have to go through a few instances, I think, and actually parse it out to see if it's, you know, giving the full amount of damage, but it seemed like a pretty solid damage buff just in my short test there. So this one I actually quite liked. I would probably say, you know, if you're looking for the run speed slow from your, you know, adding the run speed slow effect to your shots, this is probably a good one, and I'd probably recommend this over just, say, like suppressing fire. So I think the damage buff to yourself is better than just having the enemies do slightly less damage. So so this one's actually not bad at all. Definitely give it a look, and I do really like the effect. I'll show the effect one more time here just because it is so cool. So yeah, there is the effect, and as you can see, it also doesn't have an animation. It didn't overwrite my emote animation that I got going on right now, so it's very fast activating, which is also quite nice. So Cryotronic Modulation gets a recommendation from me. Now for the other two, let me just open up the Reputation store here and I'll just pull them up here. But the next one is the Engineering, the Cryo Mines. Let's go Store, Winter Event. The, yep, Cryo Mine Barrier. And this one, well, first of all, it had a very cool graphical effect. The mines actually do look different, and they have a kind of a blue glow to them, which is pretty cool. But as far as the actual performance, I would probably say, I mean, I would recommend these if you don't have Chronoton mines. If you don't have, like, already have a Mark 12 very rare Chronoton mines, definitely pick this up. It's a very good ability. But if you already have a better or higher rank Chronoton mine, I would say just stick with that. So this one is kind of, I mean, it's a good ability, but it just doesn't quite, I mean, do the amount of damage that you would want, that you can get out of the normal Chronoton mines. But still does very respectable damage. Still is a good burst damage ability. The only niche that I see this one having is just from that extra shield damage, which, I don't know if that's what you're looking for from the Mind Barrier. From the Mind Barrier, what you would just want is just the most burst damage possible, I think. So this one, again, decent, but I would probably not recommend it if you already have a better Chronoton mine. And then finally, the science one here, the Cryogenic Stasis Field. This one, I'm going to have to give this one a pass. The only redeeming qualities is that it is an exposed attack, it has a short cooldown, and it does also apply the effect from your duty officer for the minus damage resistance. But it is single target, it is a fragile hold, which means it's never gonna stand or stand for very long. It's always going to get broken very quickly on a team, and the damage over time component is honestly pretty low. I mean, it doesn't even do as much as like your endothermic or exothermic induction fields, which do way more damage in an area of an effect. So outside of a few niche cases or really rare circumstances where you need that fragile hold, I would probably stay away from this. It is a decent fragile hold. It has a very cool particle effect for sure. It actually like encases the enemy in an ice crystal, which is very neat to look at. So if you want it for just the cool graphical effect, it's you could just pick it up for that. Otherwise, I would say after messing around with it, it's really just too gimmicky and it doesn't have enough damage or utility to make it worth it. Alright, so that is that's my quick preview here, review of all of the 3 new kit modules that you can get as part of the winter event. Hopefully that helps you out if you're wondering if you want to invest in these or not. It helps provide a little bit more information to make a more informed choice. But otherwise, yeah, let me know what you think of these abilities down in the comments below. Have you invested in one of these? And have I missed something that, some really cool feature of these 3 new abilities that you found out that I may have missed? Please let me know in the comments. But otherwise, that is all for now. Thank you very much for watching.